I am so sorry to the Black Americans because you guys have been fighting. You guys have been fighting for your lives against racism, known and unknown. People didn't want you to vote. People didn't want you to learn. People didn't want you to have a solid life, housing, food, healthy.
Africans, stop calling Black Americans African Americans. They do not like it. They said it's racist. Call them Black Americans. They don't like being called African Americans. They don't like it at all. Respect their decision. They don't like being called.
I'm going to break this video down succinctly. And some things that you hear and hear from me will give you a better perspective and better insight as to, one, we are Black Americans. We're not African Americans, even though we know that we came from Africa. But we had to delineate ourselves from the rest of America, okay? And call ourselves Black Americans because that's who we are, okay? We've lost everything. We lost our culture, we lost our country that we are originally from, and we lost everything. And we had to build our own country and we had to build our own culture in America. So we call ourselves Black Americans, not to dismiss that we're from Africa, but just to delineate ourselves from everybody who comes into this country, including immigrants. Let's watch more of this this video. But I'm going to break the whole video down for you, so it may be a long video. But I want you guys to remember and want to understand, I'm a 70-year-old man. My great-grandmother was born in 1985. I keep repeating that because I want you to understand exactly what Black people have gone through, the direction we had to have in order to be a better people in America. My great-grandmother was born in 1985. My grandmother was born in 1915. My mother and father was born in 1936, 38. Okay, so there's a long history of Black Americans in this country and the things that we have done to use as a platform to be better people and better citizens. So let's go on with the rest of the video.
Called African American. America is their roots. America is their identity.
I've already apologized to the Black Americans for all the disrespect that the island people, the Africans, the Spanish people, all of us that are in America, all the people that we know we're not white, but some of you still think you're white. But I have apologized to Black Americans because we have disrespected them. We have disrespected them. All our immigrants, we have disrespected them. They are right. They have been fighting and fighting and fighting. That is why we were even allowed to come to America. And yet still we disrespect them continuously. West Indian people, island people, Africans, Spanish people, wherever you are, from South America, from DR, from Puerto Rico, wherever you are, we have disrespected Black Americans. And we don't understand that they are right. They have been fighting. And it's because of them why we were even allowed to come to America. We have to cut out this shit. I don't want to see none of this shit anymore on social media. We are fucking one. We are all fighting for the same cause. We are all fighting for the same cause. We are all Black. Do you think that the system sees us as any different? We are the same, and they have been fighting for us, for Black people.
Do you think that these people...
And this is the thing. Understand this, that Black people have been over here for 400 years, and some say Africans have been over here longer than Indians. Indians came over the Siberian Bridge from Asia, but Black people were already here. That's a whole nother vlog. But I'm here to tell you what I've seen in my 70 years in America. Okay. And I'm responding to each one of these statements by African people. And I'll tell you some truths, real talk about Black Americans, what Black Americans think, and how Black Americans have addressed the issues over the years, over the centuries, about our plight and our direction in America. Let's listen to this, the rest of the video. But please stay with me because I'm going to hit on every single thing that you may want to hear about America from a senior citizen in America. I'm a senior citizen in America. At 65, I was a senior citizen, qualified as a senior citizen. So listen to what I'm saying, because I'm going to give you some real good insight as to what is happening in America and how Black people have carved out their own direction and their own culture in America.
People deserve forgiveness? I want you all to tell me what you think down there in the comment section. Because it has been a long time these immigrants not admitting what they were doing wrong to Black Americans. Let's get deep into the video and watch the rest of the clips. Remember to tell me what you think down there in the comment section. Let's get into it.
Now, this is what I say. This is what most Black Americans feel. Okay, we have, as Black Americans, survived simply because the old saying is, we forgive, but we don't forget. But we don't forget simply because we use that against the people that have tried to talk about us and talk ill about us. No, we don't go that route. That's not our route to go. Oh, these people said this about us. We don't forget that. But we don't use that to come back at you in a negative way. You see what I mean? So there's a difference between forgiveness and forgetting. Forgiveness is forgiving people. And yes, we do forgive these people, these immigrants, and especially these African Americans. We forgive them. We understand what their plight is too in Africa. And their plight was when we were enslaved. There's a lot of them that did fight. But this is the thing. Forgiveness, Black American forgiveness, forgives ourselves, forgives other people. So we release ourselves from that burden. You understand? There's a big difference. We don't forget, but we forgive everybody because we don't hold on to that burden. Because if we don't forgive, we're taking that burden from one step to the next step, from A to B to C. And that works on us emotionally. Okay. For us to make progress and for Black people to make progress in America, we had to forgive. We had to forgive most things in America. And we had to forgive most immigrants that came to this country that spoke ill of Black people. Okay. So in order for us to forgive somebody or provide that forgiveness to people, we released ourselves. We're not going to hold on to that. If we did hold on to things like that, we would be extinct in this country. There would be no Black Americans. So that's the difference, people. We forgive, but we don't forget. But when we don't forget, that doesn't mean we come at you in a negative way. Okay? That's what that means. Forgiveness means releasing Black people from that burden.
To apologize deeply on behalf of the chiefs and people of Gold Coast and Ghana for the atrocities, the cruelty, the inhuman treatment that were committed 400 years ago by my ancestors during the Atlantic slave trade, where over 400 years ago, millions of our brothers and sisters were captured, sold, and transported under inhumane and cruel circumstances through Elmina Castle across to the Caribbeans and to the New World. On behalf of the chiefs and people of Ghana, I do render unqualified apology, deep from the bottom of our hearts. Deep from our bottom of our hearts. But one thing that I want you to be aware of, it was not without resistance. Some of our chiefs did fought and resisted. Some of our people did fought and resisted. But we are fighting a losing battle against a stronger army. People with guns, and we had no guns. They deceived us with liquor and all other temptations.
We come in humility and brokenness.
This is what I see some people there are doing. They're putting their hearts over their hands and putting their hands over their heart, which to us as Black American indicates that it's a sincere apology. And we think it's a sincere apology. Okay? And that's what needs to happen, especially from the mother country. That needs to happen where people are sincere and say, we apologize sincerely about what happened to Black Americans. We apologize to you. Yes, we fought. Some of our chiefs did fight. And that's warranted too. That's appreciated too. And heartfelt apology, that's where it starts. Because when you do that, I'm going to tell you what it does for your psyche and what it does for your emotions. You're also releasing yourself. And this goes back to forgive us. Apology is the same thing as forgiving. We apologize for what happened to African or Black Americans. Okay? That's a start. Because it says something about people when they apologize. It says we have integrity. We have pride about ourselves. And we can humble ourselves enough to apologize to those Black Americans for how they've been treated and for what we have said about Black Americans. See, that's a start. So in essence, you're releasing yourself from that burden as well by apologizing. It's the same thing and the same family as forgiveness. Okay? That's what people are doing. And it's a good thing. Believe me, it's a start.
To repent for the sins of the leaders in Africa, and in particular, the sin of selling our own brothers and sisters into slavery. This great sin brought untold pain and misery to millions of people of African descent and judgment to the African people who remained on the continent. The grave sin of slavery scattered our people all over the face of the earth, where they have suffered great deprivations and loss. If it were not for the part that our African kings and chiefs played in the slave trade, this evil trade could not have survived. Therefore, on behalf of all the African leaders, past and present, all of them, I acknowledge the part that we played in this tragedy, and today we ask for forgiveness. We seek forgiveness for the great pain and loss that the myopic and selfish decisions of our leaders caused our brothers and sisters of African descent around the world, and we ask their forgiveness.
This is what we say. That's a powerful message. Because what it says in essence is that you are a powerful people. And Black Americans are a powerful people. A powerful man and a powerful woman humbles themselves, has a sense of humility. That's what gives us power as Black Americans. And that's what gives this gentleman here who's saying that we're humbling ourselves. We know what's happening. See, when you humble yourself in the face of truth, that means that you have integrity, you have pride about yourself, and you're not too proud of yourself where you can't be humble and you cannot apologize. See, that's the essence of a man and a woman, is that humility, that pride, that integrity, to understand that you are powerful in what you say and what you do as men and women, as a country. So this is appreciated from these African leaders because it's saying we are humble enough, but at the same time, we are powerful enough to humble ourselves and to apologize to Black Americans.
We plead the blood of Jesus to cleanse us all from this great sin and release us from the spiritual, mental, emotional, and economic bondage it brought. Today, we reopen the door to our brothers and sisters of African descent to return home to the continent of Africa, the land of their ancestry, and the spiritual homeland of all African people. We welcome you home with open arms as brothers and sisters and pray that we can close the door to the dark past and work towards a better future. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray.
Everybody.
And that's a good thing because this thing starts where people don't realize it or not. It starts spiritually. And this is why Black people have been able to succeed and make progress in America. For us, it's a spiritual thing. And it does begin with God because God humbles us. It does. And the Spirit humbles us. Okay? So we appreciate what these leaders are saying in Africa. Forgive us. We're humble. We have a spirit for humanity. Okay? And this is basically what they're saying, which is good, which is positive, which is constructive. It's a different day and it's a different spirit.
Everybody owes Black Americans an apology.
You don't need a second job. You just need to know these AI tools.
Get through this.
So this,
When I say everybody, I mean everybody except Native Americans. Every other demographic owes Black Americans an apology. Now it's obvious that the white demographic owes us that, and we've been there. But I'm specifically talking about immigrants. I'm specifically talking about Latinos and Asians and Indians and Chinese and some Vietnamese and some Africans. Y'all owe us an apology.
A lot of immigrants look at Black people as if we are like the scum of America, when really.
And now let me say this. Again, I'm a senior citizen in America. I don't want to put in context of that everybody owes us an apology and put that on everybody. But it is when you apologize, again, you humble yourselves. Are you humble enough? Do you stress humility in your life where you can apologize? we've always said people don't owe us anything because we owe ourselves as Black Americans to be better people. And we have become better people in America. So I don't necessarily agree with her saying that everybody owes us. Okay. Now, if you stress humility in your life and you're humble enough and you're not too proud of yourself and you don't have that much pride where your pride overwhelms you, then you may want to apologize. But a lot of people don't want to apologize. Why? Because it hurts their ego. It hurts their pride. A lot of people are not big enough to apologize. A lot of people are not humble to apologize because the other side of that is a pride, too much of a pride to say, I apologize. So no, you don't owe us anything. You owe yourself to say, hey, let me humble myself and let me apologize. Let me accept the truth. When you accept the truth and you look at yourself deep down in your heart, then maybe you have enough humility and you're humble enough to apologize. Okay? But I don't want to say you owe us. You owe yourselves.
If it wasn't for the contributions of African Americans, y'all wouldn't want to be here, because it'd be a whole nother set of laws and rules, especially people of color. Nobody was lining up to come here until we start fighting for civil rights and things like that. So if you are trying to get here, understand the sacrifices that, were made in order for this to be a place that you actually want to come to.
Over there, when you came over here, your views of Black people, when you first finally ran into...
And again, we have said this over and over again, with just exactly what this young man was saying, is that after all these years, Black people were fighting to get to the point of people having civil rights and people enacting the Immigration Act to push that. And we were pushing for people to come over here from Africa, people to come over here from the Caribbean, people to come over here for Jamaica. We were pushing for that. And that's when they had to recognize, hey, we need an Immigration Act. Okay? We need a Civil Rights Act. We need voting. We need some way people can come over here as immigrants and lead to citizenship. And a lot of immigrants have done that. But that was on the backs of Black people. Okay? It just didn't happen, because if Black people didn't fight for other people and immigrants to come into this country, again, like the gentleman said, you wouldn't be here. So that's something that you can look at. And I suggest every immigrant that comes over here looks at the history. And you will find Black people fighting for their rights and your rights as well.
Black people, well, was your culture shock? Like, damn, they ain't like what I thought they was.
Now, I can't speak for all Africans, but for me, man, I thought Blacks were thugs, right? Because that was what was portrayed. Like almost every movie, that was what we saw. And some of them will visit, Africa, and then they come with that, that swag or whatever you want to call it, that aura.
Bravado, yeah.
Why do I say that? Because our culture is different from, that culture. So to me, it was like night and day. So yeah, coming in, but I didn't really know what a thug was. Like, not that they were killers.
Like, we just thought it was gangsters. Like,
yeah.
See, this is the thing. They thought we were thugs. They thought we were gangsters. They thought we were lazy. But this is the thing about people who come over, even some of our African brothers and sisters, and most immigrants that come over here. They just see what America has told them. What a certain segment of America, white America, has told them. And let me say this, there's some great white people in this country, in America. There's some very good white people in this country that actually kind of pushed along quietly the liberation of black people in America. Okay. But then we have people who come over here and the only thing they see is what that certain demographic of white people say and do. And so they show you these thug movies. They show you these movies that puts and predicts black people in a negative light. They've been doing that for years. And and in essence you drink the poison. Okay? But a lot of these immigrants don't do their research and see the plight of American blacks. Because if they did, they would see black people in the arts, black inventors that a lot of Americans, white Americans and all Americans, even immigrants use today, black inventions. They would see the arts, the entertainment. They would see the sports. They would see that there was a black president here. You see what I mean? I mean, they, in their country, they listen to Beyonce. They see Michael Jordan. They see Barack Obama. They see all these black achievements, but still yet they choose to look at what is negative about black America. That's part of the problem. When they see those kinds of things and they look at things like that as truth about black America, but they don't do their research about America, then they come over here with this naive idea of what America's all about. Let me tell you something. One of the first black colleges in America was created for black people, a black college, and still stands today. Howard University, and our nation's capital. What year was that? Most of you won't know it because you didn't research it. And that was in 1867 when Howard University was founded. You don't know that. Black college, and still going strong today, still putting out black graduates as of today. And there's black colleges all over the United States. There's probably 150 black colleges all over the United States. And I'm not talking about colleges in a mall. I'm talking about established HBCUs in America that's been established for a long time. That's the kind of history that you guys should have learned. That's the kind of history that you guys should have researched. But you didn't do your research. And this is a fault of immigrants coming in here and not knowing exactly what they're doing. So what happens? And I'm going to give you my conclusion. We're going to listen to a little bit more of this video, but I'm going to give you my conclusion and tell you exactly why this is happening. This has continued to happen over the years and over the centuries.
Like
criminal
even gang
activity.
banging. I didn't really know what a gang banger was.
Right,
I could say it, but I didn't really understand it.
I know when you told me, like when he first met me, I had braids back in the day, so he
was definitely a thug.
He automatically thought I was a thug.
African immigrants should stop saying that they're doing better than every other people in America. I am sick of it. African immigrants, hear me. I know many of you really don't like the way I talk, and that's because I speak objectively. You are not doing better than any other racial group or any other person here in America. And the comparison is always with them and black Americans. I don't know for some reason why African immigrants in America always want to compare themselves that they're doing better than black Americans. You're not doing better than anybody, for real.
Okay, and this is what I say about this. It's such a ridiculous kind of mindset and a delusional kind of mindset. You come over to a country where black Americans have been here for 400 years. You see what I mean? And then you think that you, even a little bit, you're doing better than black Americans? That's delusional. That's crazy. Do Mexicans have any Mexican colleges? I mean, I'm not talking about a mall college in the mall. Do Mexicans have any colleges like HBCUs? Do Asians have any colleges like HBCUs? Do Africans have any colleges like HBCUs? No, you don't see it. So how can you guys think, do you have any heroes like Michael Jordan? Do you have any heroes like Barack Obama? Do you have those kind of heroes? Do you have any heroes like Beyonce, Jay-Z, 50 Cent in entertainment? No, you don't. So how do you put yourself in a position to say that you are doing better than black people? This is what I can't understand. So this is like the thing we say to immigrants: shut the up and be quiet and be humble when you come in this country, especially when it pertains to black Americans. Oh, you're humble when it comes to white Americans in this country, in America, but you're not, you don't show that same humility towards black Americans. And that's the first thing you should do. Because if you lose black American support, just like you're doing now, they can make a law one day and say, we don't need Africans in this country. We don't need Somalians in this country. We don't need Asians in this country. We don't need Latinos, Mexicans in this country. We don't need Caribbeans in this country. We don't need Jamaicans in this country. They can do that at any given time. And if you understand how black people have fought for every person of color to be in this country, and then you have nerve to speak ill of black people who have been here for 400 years and have established all kinds of stuff, all kinds of inventors, all kinds of medical inventions. This is why we call immigrants delusional when they come in this country. And this is what we say, some of them don't know their asshole from a hole in the ground. I'm sorry, I have to say that. As a senior citizen in America, I have to say that. And you guys better look, I'll tell you this. All over the world, I mean all over this globe, they're pushing to get rid of all their immigrants in the country, in their countries. They're establishing deportation centers in airports. They're building walls for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers to keep people out from coming in, the immigrants out from coming in their country. See, this is a massive move. This is a massive immigration act to say, hey, we don't want you in our country anymore. And then you come to that country and you wave your flags. Somalians raising their flags, Mexicans raising their flags when they're on the streets in America. That's not the way to do it. You've never seen you've never seen black Americans out waving African flags, because we were in America, and America takes offense to that. When we were protesting in the 60s and the 70s, or even in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, we were waving American flags because we knew that we belonged here. We're not putting up Somalians putting up Somalian flag, Mexican putting up a Mexican flag. All that does is put you on the wrong side of the law and the wrong side of history. Okay, we're going to wrap this up in a minute. We're going to listen to a few more of these guys and we're going to wrap it up. But I want you guys to listen to everything that I had to say. And please find my channel and subscribe to the channel. I'm not pushing my channel. I'm just asking you to subscribe so you can see exactly what a senior citizen, an older Black American has to say. That's been there and done that. I was born in the 50s. Okay, I've seen a lot. My great grandmother has seen a lot. My grandmother has seen a lot. My mother has seen a lot.
Immigrants, hear me. You only have an opportunity that you don't have in Africa. Yes, you have an opportunity that you don't have in Africa, and that is why when you explore your skills here in a better environment here in the US, it looks like you're doing better. Ask yourself this question. If you are doing better, why couldn't you do better in Africa? If you are doing better, why are you such in a hurry to run away from Africa, looking for visa in all the African embassy to run away and come to the US?
And that's another thing that we, as Black Americans, you know, we see all these immigrants from other countries. Excuse me. We see all these immigrants from other countries rushing to get into America. For what? For what? Because they don't have the same opportunities in America that they had in their country. Why are Africans coming to America? Why? If we come to Africa, it's because we want to be with Africans and want to help do our part and help building Africa. That's why. But all these Africans, not all, there's not a lot of Africans in America. But Mexicans, Somalians, you rush from your country to get to America for what? To get free stuff? If in fact you love your country so much, why didn't you stay in your country and build your own country up? Why are you running to America? And then on top of that, say some delusional like, oh, we're better than Black Americans. You have never been better than Black Americans. And most of you will never be at that point where you're better than Black Americans in America. Now, I go to Africa, and I may not be better than Africans in Africa. And I accept that. Meaning that, yes, we will fight for equality, but that doesn't mean I'm going to be better than somebody in their own country. Doesn't even mean that I can be a politician in Africa or I can be a president of Africa. Doesn't mean that. Okay? So this is our things as Black America. If in fact you love your country so much, why are you running over here to America? We're going to wrap this up in another few videos.
And you come to the US, you want to act like you're doing better because you are able to utilize the opportunity you find here in America. It don't make no sense. We should stop it. If you even think that you're doing better in America, who actually made that possible? Black people were the ones that actually fought for all the opportunity you get in America, and you're utilizing it and exploring it. Or you want me to remind you about the civil rights?
I'm going to tell you something about the psyche of people. People try to promote their own psyche to stabilize their minds and to just think that way about coming to America and being better than Blacks. This says something about your self-worth and your intelligence. Because most of these people know they can't even get even close to the point of what Black Americans have done in America. So what they do, as I said in my other video, they resort and they revert to thinking that they're better than Black Americans. That's a character flaw. That's a personality flaw. That's all it is. Because you know that you can't get there. You know that you can't obtain what Black Americans have obtained over 400 years. If America stood around, you'd have to be here for 500 or 600 years to get to that point. But at this point, what they're doing is they're trying to get rid of all immigrants in America. All immigrants, that's including Africans, Somalians, Mexican people, Cubans, Caribbeans, Jamaican. They're putting laws in place right now as we speak. And you guys don't know this. But we know this as Black people because we've lived it. We understand every time something gets out of hand or they feel something gets out of hand, they go to Congress, they go to the president, and they go to the Supreme Court. And they change laws. And believe me, you're going to see some laws coming up in regards to immigration. Because what people are saying all over the world, and what America is going to start saying, our country, our rules. You either live by our rules and our values, and you get out. That's what they're saying. So believe me, America is not stupid, especially when it comes to enacting laws or passing laws to protect their identity, to protect the American identity. They're not trying to protect your identity as Africans or as Somalians or as Caribbean people or Jamaicans or Cubans or Latinos. They're trying to protect the image of America. So understand that something is coming down the pipe. We know it as Black Americans because we've lived it and we've seen the changes. When we were going to school back in the day, when I got my AA degree, they saw that a lot of people were getting AA degrees. And they say, well, if you get an AA degree, you can get a job. Then a lot of people start getting AA degrees. They said, you have to get a bachelor's degree to get a job. Then now it's like you have to have a master's degree to get a job. And that's even questionable now, to get a job.
Movement, what makes you think you can come all the way from Africa to the US and get a job and get paid decently? Is it not because of the civil rights movement that Black Americans actually fought here in America, giving you and I our liberation, our freedom, our sovereignty to enjoy all the social amenities in America? And for you to just come up and say you're doing better than them? Sometimes we African immigrants, we should. Many of us say we have bachelors in Africa before we came to the US, but sometimes we reason like a third grader. I've always said this, African immigrants, when you are about to come to the US, at the show where you bought your flight,
one of us was lied to by the same colonizers, okay? They divided us so that we argue over accents while they took cultures, minerals, and magic. Newsflash, they fear a united diaspora. Okay? Because if Black Americans linked up with Africans, that's power, land, legacy, and truth in one room. Can you imagine the power that would come out of that? We don't hate each other. We just don't know each other. Okay?
And that's the truth. We don't hate each other, but we just don't know each other. Look, they're doing a couple of things, and they've been doing this to Black people for a long time. African people in African nations. Understand that they have tried to rob us of our humanity in America, but wasn't able to do it. They wasn't able to do it because we still have our humanity. We still have our pride. We still have our integrity. And what they're doing in Africa, they come over, they've been stealing African resources for years from the motherland. That's how most of these European countries have survived. And we see that as Black Americans. We see that. They've been trying to do it. They've been doing it for years. Putting people, they did it to South Africa. They did it to Burkina Faso. They've been doing it all over the African continent. And until Africans say enough is enough, you're not going to come over here and steal our resources to fund your countries and pay us for our resources pennies on the dollar. You see what I mean? So yes, their thing was to divide. That's how they colonize. They divide people. They've been doing it in America for years. So when immigrants come over here, they think they're better than black people because they've seen these negative films and the thug life and all that. Let me tell you something. I was born in an upper middle class family. I have 4 degrees, and a lot of black people have education. If they don't have the education, they have a skill. You understand? So your perception, and I've always said that life is about perception and interpretation. It's how you perceive things and how you interpret things. But if you're getting the wrong message when you make that perception and when you make those interpretations, then you're at a loss. And that's what's happening to most immigrants that come over here. And now a lot of immigrants are what we call as Black Americans, out of pocket. And out of pocket simply means that you don't know what's going on. You don't know the real story. You're out of pocket. You don't get it. And if you don't get it now, it's going to be a problem going forward for immigrants. It's already become a problem for certain immigrants in this country. I'm going to look at one more video or one more statement, and then I'm going to wrap this up.
And that built entire systems they built entire systems to keep it that way. Wake up. We're not enemies. We're the mirror. It's a lot of Black Americans that I grew up with, but oh, my mom and my dad are both Black, but I'm light skinned, and there's no mixing between us. But then as soon as a light skinned African person say it's a problem, y'all need to go and check that, okay? Check that and let me know what's the issue.
If you're an immigrant in America, I don't care where you're from, and you come and you disrespect Black Americans, you're wrong. Because I can't move to Jamaica and stay as long as I want. If I come to Bermuda, I get a job, and a Bermudian needs that job, they're going to fire me from that job and give it to the native. So in America, immigrants can come, take the jobs of Black Americans, they get loans, they get all types of stuff. And I think that's really made them kind of conceited and arrogant, as if Black Americans, people like Harlem Congressman Adam Clayton Powell, did not fight to get Black immigrants into the States. You see, once upon a time, America was letting in so many European immigrants that Black leaders were like, hey, wait a minute. You got to let in people from the Caribbean. You got to let in people from Africa. And they fought hard for that in the 60s and the civil rights era and et cetera.
Yes.
So for Africans or people from the Caribbean to come to America and talk about Black Americans are lazy, we work harder. Like, I've been telling them for years, y'all need to stop that, because once Black America turns their back on you, once we turn our back on them, you're going to see that it was not white America that welcomed you. You think that white Americans are different from the Europeans that colonized the islands and native Africa. You're going to find out the hard way. So Black Americans are tired of the disrespect. And y'all need to understand that. And what y'all need to do right now is just be quiet. Humble yourselves. Black Americans have been fighting for reparations for at least 30 or 40 years. It's not new. And here you come interjecting yourselves into the conversation about reparations, which is none of your business. None of your business. I don't care if you're Haitian, Jamaican, from St. Kitts, St. wherever, okay? Nigeria, Sierra Leone, mind your business. Be grateful that you are allowed to come to America. Then on another note, I want to tell my Black Americans this, right? And this is from me traveling over to Africa these couple of times and me sitting actually in embassy offices. Number one.
Let me say this in conclusion. I agree with many things that she says. And this is the concern. And this is the concern of Black Americans and many people I know as Black people in America. We're at a point, we're at an impasse in Black America. And that means that we have heard all these things for all these years from immigrants coming in here. And just like she says, if Black Americans turn their back on you and say, we've had enough of immigrants coming over to this country, no matter what country you're from, when we're tired, we're tired. And when we rest, we rest. That's why we're resting now. And we're not resting in a sense that we stop fighting, we stop being activists. We're just doing it in a different way. That's all we're doing. But if Black people don't support you, be careful. And remember that it's not white people that's keeping you in this country. That's not white people that got you into America. Because if it was for white people to get immigrants, African, Haitians, Mexicans, and everybody else into this country, you wouldn't be in this country. Look what they did to Mexican people. Mexican have been in is adjacent, the next country over from the United States. And look what they're doing to them. Even some of their citizens, even some of the citizens in America, they're pushing them out. They're sending them to other countries. So understand that if Black people turn their back on you and they don't support you, it's hell or high water in America. And let me conclude by saying, people, immigrants, need to stop what they're doing. Because one thing that you're doing, you're pissing Black Americans off. And I'm going to say it clear, loud and clear. You're pissing Black Americans off. And if you don't know that, maybe you should ask somebody. Because the things that are happening today to immigrants, it's happening all over the world. You see, Black people opened the door for a lot of immigrants all over the world. They followed Black people's lead. They followed Black Americans' lead. A lot of these other countries, for immigrants, they opened their doors because of what was happening in Black America. You understand? So again, dummy up, be quiet, meaning that means be quiet. That means don't be so entitled and too explosive in what you think and what you're saying. I'll tell you, one group of people, Asians, came over here. They weren't loud. They followed the law. They did what they had to do, and they were quiet about their business. And you immigrants, some of you immigrants are coming over here. They didn't say, you didn't hear them say a whole lot about Black people, even though they were saying things about Black people, but in the comfort of their own homes. They went out here like some Africans and some Palestinians and some Somalians, talking about how better we are than Black Americans. You'll never be better than Black Americans in America. Understand that. That's my last word to you. Be humble, be quiet about your business in America.